I mean, it's a reason why everyone clicked on this video. So many people said August 2nd, August this, August that. Well, we finally have a date.
It's definitely a bucket list fight for me to call.
I agree with that completely.
High risk fight. The first one that we've seen where it's legitimate risk to the fighters.
Riley, in my opinion, it seems like Zerto is the next guy for Paul.
No, it doesn't, Ben. You're lying. You are lying. Not in a million years.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Misfits News. I'm your host, Ben the Bane Davis. What a fun weekend we had. Another Jake Paul fight and some big X Series 22 announcements. Joining me today, it's as always my co-host, Biel, but we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Riley Osborne, Rat House Radio back in. Riley, let's start with you. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm always good. Happy to be back with you boys, and I'm happy to discuss some of the business that's been going on because it's things are heating up a little bit in the Misfits world, which is always nice to see.
I agree. Biel, how have you been?
I'm doing fantastic, especially now we have Riley here, and it looks like you're having a fun time out on the beach right now, Ben.
I know. I'm on the road. You know, we like to have fun on the weekends here in Phoenix. It's hot. You got to get to the pool to cool off. But when we've got so much to cover, you know, I get called to duty. So let's not waste any more time. Big topic of the weekend. Jake Paul, Julio Chavez Jr. goes the full distance. Paul gets it by unanimous on the scorecards. Riley, did you watch this fight? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I did watch the fight. I'd be lying if I said I watched it live, but I watched it afterwards, and it was good. It was good. I'm not gonna mince words. I thought it was Jake Paul's best performance to date. Totally shut down Chávez. Chávez just had nothing to offer him. He was way faster. Clearly hurt him early on with the body shots, which just froze Chávez up offensively, and then was able to take it into deep waters and showed he's got great cardio. And it was just a good fight, right? Chávez, on the other hand, came with nothing. I mean, he just had no offensive ability at all. And near the end, he landed a couple combinations, and he was landing clean at the end. I mean, Jake's defense, it was definitely leaving a lot to be desired, but fundamentally this was a clinical performance across the board from the Paul team, and they did exactly what they wanted, and how couldn't they? I mean, me and Ben had talked about this earlier. We just didn't see any method of victory for Chávez Jr., and one did not manifest itself. So that's what I thought.
With so much hanging in the balance, right, and opportunities in the future, it would surprise me if they put Jake Paul against anyone that would really offer a possibility of taking over, right? Chávez couldn't. Biel, what did you think about this fight?
I actually agree with a lot of what Riley said there. I think it was the best version of Jake we have seen today. Now, do I think it's a major improvement from his last fights? No, but I do think I've seen improvement in his speed, his cardio. I think he's adjusting to the weight very well. And those body shots at the start of the fight really affected Chávez. I think that was a great game plan, great strategy from Jake's team, and really establishing that jab as well. He kept him at range. Although it is hard to fight someone like Chávez when they're not really throwing anything. I thought it was an interesting game plan that they went for, where they didn't do anything for all 8 rounds, and then the last 2, he went for the windmilling. He tried to take Jake out of there, which I don't understand why he didn't implement that earlier. Maybe it was a cardio issue. Maybe he couldn't find his rhythm. Maybe he didn't put the work in, but it was a disappointing performance from Chávez. But I think Jake did do well, and I think he deserves merit for the performance he put on this weekend.
It seems like the combat sports community is always giving backlash to Jake Paul. And this was a pretty solid, pretty okay name, right, for the resume. But the way that Julio Chavez Jr. fought those first handful of rounds, I think it just frustrated everybody. Riley, did you see anybody of this? Is this on Jake Paul? Chavez not throwing anything for the first 6 rounds?
No, I mean, I don't even agree with the narrative that it was a disappointing performance from Chávez Jr. He did all he had. That was his entire toolbox. We knew that going into the fight. We know that he's 39 years of age. We know he wasn't going to be that physically conditioned. We know he isn't going to have that much cardio. So what options does he have there? Well, he's getting sand blasted to the body from huge shots early on. The shots upstairs were, he was just getting away from them. But this is a guy that fought at 175 pounds for the majority of his career, 168 going all the way down to. If a 200-pound Jake Paul hits him clean, he's getting knocked out unconscious. He wasn't willing to take that risk. So yeah, he took it to as deep waters as he could, recognized that he still had a little bit left in the tank, emptied that tank, landed clean near the end, went for a little Hail Mary. But frankly, he didn't take risks because he just didn't have the skill set, the speed, or the cardio to be able to do any of that. So, yeah, this is exactly what we should have expected from Chavez Jr., and he brought his best package. But it wasn't good enough. And of course, it wasn't good enough because Paul and his team aren't willing to take risks right now. They're not willing to take risks. We know that. And maybe at some point they will take another risk. And I'll be interested in watching him fight again. But this was exactly as advertised. I mean, anyone that knows anything about the sport of fighting knew that this is how this was going to go. I actually expected a stoppage, and Chavez was just so hesitant that he didn't allow that to happen. But if Chavez had tried to fight those early rounds, Jake would have stopped him.
Theo, were you maybe surprised that Jake Paul couldn't get the KO?
Again, I actually agree with Riley there as well. I think if Chavez did go for the attack, I think he would have been knocked out. I think there was a few moments with these uppercuts that were landing for Jake Paul that could have got the knockout. However, when someone is just shelling up and doing the minimal, it is really hard to find that knockout because they're expecting to be hit. When you're expected to be hit, you're going to be able to absorb most of it. However, when you're going for a shot, when you're going for something risky, that's when you get caught. That's when you get knocked out. So I understand why he did that. It was a little bit frustrating to see. But I think the thing that stood out to me, and I wanted to throw it to you, Ben, is the call-outs Jake made after the fight. Because obviously we're on Misfits. He has mentioned KSI's name multiple times during this week, but he mentioned some other names, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, obviously Paul spent a considerable amount of time talking about Anthony Joshua points this week. And, it's interesting when you have in your co-main event, I believe, Zurdo Ramirez, who is the logical next step for him. Why would you put him in the co-main if that isn't the thinking from MVP? So, yeah, I mean, Jake Paul kind of threw a couple darts across the board, and some of them realistic, some of them not. But, Riley, in my opinion, it seems like Zurdo is the next guy for Paul.
No, it doesn't, Ben. You're lying. You are lying. Not in a million years are they fighting Zurdo.
It seems like he's ready, Riley. It seems like he's ready. It's time. It's about time that we put him against Zurdo.
Oh, my God. There's a bus going 80 down the freeway, and Ben's trying to throw Jake Paul right in front of it. They are never taking that fight.
Come on. Hey, maybe Francis Ngannou, Riley. I mean, these are easy names for Jake Paul. He's so good. No, but okay, realistically though, what would be the next step for Jake Paul?
The only fight that makes sense for him right now, if Badujak is able to cling to that title, and he has a mandatory coming up that likely is going to spoil that. If Badujak was willing to cling on to that title for just a little longer, he's just past his prime. It is absolutely the only real scenario that we could see Jake Paul legitimately be a title contender. So that's the route that he would have to go. But if he wants to challenge some of these better guys, it's not going to go well for him. He has to keep doing what he's been doing, which is, like you guys said, go fight Anthony Joshua, get your head sent clean into the stands, and make $100 million. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. But if they're not going to do the fights that the fans want to see, and they kind of keep going down this weird path that they're going, I don't know. That's because I've been saying this for the past 2 years. I don't get the strategy that they've been implementing. I don't understand it, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Jake Paul's been so vocal about becoming a legit world champ, right? This is his whole reason for boxing is to be a title holder. But Biel, it seems like, there's such a specific set of circumstances and, dominoes that need to fall, and picking this guy at the right time and the right age. And does that almost disqualify the legitimacy of being a world champion, right? Because you need such specific provisions to claim that title in the first place.
I actually don't. I don't think that's unfair because I think it happens in the world of combat sports. The younger guys go against the older guys, and that's how they take the belts. And then eventually they do take on challenges. They take on harder fights when they do have those belts, and they have the mandatories to take on. So I don't want to discredit Jake in that regards, where he's going, there's an opportunity here to take the belt. I think anyone would jump at it. I even think Vidal would, Tommy Fury would, anyone. If they could have an opportunity at the belt where they legitimately can win, they're going to do it. And if the circumstances are in their favor, absolutely. So I understand why they're doing it. Do I agree with it to a full extent? I don't agree with the Gervonta Davis fights. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, the size advantage is absolutely crazy. Do I agree with the Anthony Joshua fight? No. But it's all exciting, fun stuff. And then if he wants a belt, that's where he goes for Badujak.
And Riley, how would the Badou Jack fight play out? Do you think that there's a world in which Jake Paul wins that title off him?
Yeah, there is, which really pains me to say because I've been a Badou Jack fan for a long time, and I really respect Badou and everything he's done for the sport. But look, guys, I've been saying it for a long time now. Jake Paul can box. He can absolutely scrap. And Badou has been aging rapidly. He's had a lot of really, really tough fights against really, really tough guys. And Jake has the ability to beat him. I think it would be a really, really high risk fight. It would be a fight that I would be excited to watch. And that just hasn't been the case for the past couple of years. So for me, it's the only fight that makes sense. However, I believe if the news is accurate, he has a scheduled fight that he has to take on. I don't know if they're going to, play the boxing game properly, which they absolutely could, and they could get him that. And then you know what? Jake Paul's a legit world champion. So I will shut my mouth if that happens. But at this point, I just I don't know if that's going to be the case. And that's a really tough fight for him. I mean, Badou Jack is still a really, really talented fighter. But yeah, Jake Paul has the power and the youth to be able to win that fight. It's just is he the favorite? I don't think so. And that's what I want to see. I don't understand the path of taking the super safe fights and protecting this perfect record because you're supposed to be here to disrupt. That's what Misfits does. We disrupt. So if you're not willing to disrupt the status quo, then what are you doing? You're just kind of pitter-pattering throughout the game to make a ton of money, which, you know what? If that's your game, I respect it too, but don't expect me to tune in. So, that's kind of my thought process here, Ben, but I'm not sure. I'm really confused about what's next. And we've been saying this for a long time. We don't know what's next after this, but that's the only fight that makes sense to me other than, Gervonta, like that's a joke, right? That would be a stupid fight.
Yeah, I think there are a couple avenues. Either trying to get that specific set of circumstances to take Badou Jack's title, getting a ridiculous payday to get your chin dissolved by one of the most elite boxers in the game, like a Joshua or Canelo, or drum roll, KSI. Where does this leave JJBL?
I think it's interesting you say that because that was actually what I was going to bring up at the end of the broadcast on DAZN. Ariel did say this is a fight he wants to see. This is what should be made. Crossover boxing used to be the place where fights happened, and we criticized the traditional world for not making the fights. Now we're becoming a place, or I wouldn't even say we are, that fight is becoming a place where it's been so many years of build up and it just doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. I know KSI is now having a hand surgery, but I think what's interesting when we've spoken to Mams a couple of times is he has a list of names. He doesn't want to take any more warm-up fights, so he may just jump straight into that Jake fight. So I want to throw it to you, Riley. After watching Jake's performance this weekend, do you think he's too far gone from JJ's ability?
I think it'd be tough. I think that it would definitely be the fight that would wake KSI that we've seen in the past up, and really motivate him to fight. I completely agree with the sentiment that these warm-up fights, there's just no point. There's just no point. High risk, high reward. Go bold, go big. And if you come up short, who cares? Because at least you tried. And that would be what the fans want to see. And KSI to me has always seemed like the type of guy that understands the entertainment aspect of the entire entertainment industry. And he understands that that's what the fans want. I think he'd be willing to make that risk. But it would be a tough fight. But I think that's a good thing because I think that would motivate him. That being said, I mean, like I said, this was Jake Paul's best performance. He was landing with serious power to the body. He just seemed composed in there. However, defensively, it begs the question, does fighting these tomato cans over the last couple of years, or people that are little grandfathers, has that made him complacent defensively? Does that very much so look to the case? Whenever Chávez threw, he landed. So I think there's clearly a path to victory there for KSI, but tough fight. I still want to see it, but I don't know. I'm getting a little sad, boys. Like I'm getting a little nervous that I'm never going to get to see it.
I think that's how everybody feels in regards to that fight. Now, before we transition to the big X Series 22 news, I do want to take a moment and credit Paul for one thing. He did mention how Ben Askren's lung transplants, he's going to be helping out, making the donation, assisting with that. Huge credit for Jake. Taking that on his shoulders and wanting to help in that regard. And, he was right in the sense that some of the people he called out saying, hey, these names aren't helping Ben Askren. I'm going to. I think that's a bit fair from Paul. But for both of you, I mean, hey, good to see that Jake Paul's committing to a solid cause for Ben Askren.
Absolutely. Credit to him. I think he's done the right thing there. I mean, he mentioned some other people haven't gone and helped Ben Askren. I know they had that pass, and it's nice to see Jake Paul doing something for his previous opponent. I think that's very sweet of him.
Let's take it to some X Series 22 news. Finally, a big update. We've waited months for more Misfits action, and it all goes down. Finally, the return on August 30th. BL, I believe we can't announce the main and co-main at this time, but August 30th, we're back on the zone with X Series.
I mean, it's a reason why everyone clicked on this video. They want to know news about Misfits, and it looks like we've finally come back. I mean, so many people said August 2nd, August this, August that. Well, we finally have a date, August 30th, and the main and co-main event will be announced this week. And I know we have an idea of what the main event is, so I want to throw it to you, Riley. What is your thoughts of the main? I know we can't spill anything, we can't leak anything, but how do you think the public's going to react?
I think the public is going to like it. A lot of strings must have been pulled to get this one together. Two titans of their divisions. You know, maybe even somebody that held a significant position before, not to give too much, against somebody that has been just an absolutely electric lately. So exciting business, high risk fight. The first one that we've seen where it's legitimate risk to the fighters involved. I'm very excited for it. Ben, what do you think?
You know, he is making the boxing debut, I believe, but he's been active in combat sports within the last 12 months, and I think people are going to be happy. This is a solid fight. I think that's the best way we can cut it up. There are some fights in the crossover space that aren't maybe up to snuff or some easier types of matchmaking, but this isn't a pushover. This isn't a layup. This is a pretty damn good fight. I'm happy with it, and if I'm happy with it, then hopefully the fans should be too.
Riley, I don't know whether you saw the episode where we had Mans on, and I'm sure you guys have discussed it. We are now having only 6 events a year, and only the best of the best are getting on the card. Could you maybe discuss to me a little bit about that?
I think it's just the fat has been trimmed. I mean, we've always had very exciting cards regardless, and now they're more exciting, right? It's just trimming the fat. There's no build up. There's none of that stuff. It's going to be all action the entire time. And I've always said we brought that, and now it's just, like I said, it's just even more intense, even more action. I think that is a good transition because it means that every single time there's a Misfits card, you know that you're getting all action and all excitement. There's never any deviation. You can understand that when I see the Misfits brand, I know what I'm getting, and there's no deviation from that. So it's very exciting, and I think it's going to make sure to bring a lot more intensity every time we're out there.
I agree. Every other month makes sense, right? Gives us also a window for promotional excellence as well. There was a stretch, I think, in 2024 where it was 3 events in 6 weeks, which was amazing. And we got to deliver so many fun fights. And the frequency, I think, kept the ecosystem and the scene in great shape. But that is a high stress on the people behind the scenes and everybody involved. And so I think every other month is a pretty solid schedule. And we'll see. I mean, best fighting the best, quality over quantity. Can't hate that. BL, any last thoughts on X Series 22?
That's it from me, really. I think we're just looking forward for it to be announced this week. Obviously, we're only a matter of days away, so make sure you're looking at all the socials. That's Instagram, Twitter, maybe on the YouTube, everywhere. It will be announced, so bear with us.
Riley, final thoughts from you.
I can't wait for it, man. It's going to be exciting, and I'm really pumped for it. It's definitely a bucket list fight for me to call.
I agree with that completely. I can't wait to be inside the booth for this one. August 30th, we are back. Make sure you stay tuned for the main and co-main announcements and the full card reveal, which will be happening very soon. For BL and Riley, I've been Ben the Bane Davis. Catch you next time on Misfits News.